Welcome, Sam, again to the No Excuses, No Bullshit podcast. How's it going?
Hello, not too bad, thank you. It's been a long time coming. We've been trying to organize this for a little while. And
Yeah,
having
you
it
had
good
you had
is,
a lot to do, right? For the
yeah,
ultra.
the schedule is a bit well, it was a bit up in the air. It's getting back to it now.
Yeah, nice to have you here. And the first question, man, how was the prep? Like, how was the prep for the ultra? And
Uh
like, maybe we can
yeah,
start with that. I think that's the most interesting part. And also then
yeah,
talk a little
definitely.
bit during the marathon, how it was. Would be
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, definitely. And the so obviously I've like trained for other ultras before, and
Mm.
this was a lot different, obviously, because I had a newborn, and I thought it'd be a great idea to book in to run 100 miles whilst or train for 100 miles whilst having a newborn. And I think the biggest difference was, like I was saying before we kind of started this, I went from being able to do kind of what I want when I wanted to now having this other priority that took center stage. Um, so it made the training a lot harder. Obviously, training for 100 miles, I think my longest training run was like 32 miles or something like that. So that's like a 5, 6 hour run on a weekend. So yeah, I mean, differences, I basically just tried to make it as easy as possible for myself to do it. So I bought a treadmill. I've never trained on a treadmill before. I kind of hate it, to be honest. It's just, but it meant that in the evening I could just run on the treadmill if I needed to do like a 10K run in an evening rather than having to go out and be away from the baby. If I'm like having to look after the baby, I could just
Yeah, it's
on the
more
treadmill.
accessible, right? It's more
Yeah,
accessible and gives you
exactly.
more flexibility.
Yeah, and it wasn't ideal. Like obviously, I couldn't do any kind of like hills or anything like that on it, and it was only like a basic treadmill, but something was better than nothing, essentially.
Mm. Yeah, nice. And also, which one was it? That's maybe also interesting. Which ultra was it?
Oh,
Was
so basically, I'd originally booked because 100 miles, completing 100 miles has always been my like main goal ever since I kind of discovered ultra running, and I originally booked onto a race that was, I think, meant to be this middle of May or something like that, which was local to me. And then I changed it to it basically just wasn't an organized race. I just went out and did the 100
Ah,
miles
okay, okay, okay.
off my own back. And the reason for that was the I essentially did a 4 mile route that was kind of around my house
Mhm.
and 25 times just the same 4 mile route, and that meant that I could come back every 4 miles. I had the option to come back in and restock and all that, and it meant that kind of I had like my wife that was at home that could help out, and yeah, it just made it a lot easier in that respect. And I thought that doing the same route 25 times would get insanely boring and I would like that would be a hard part, but actually it was okay. I didn't mind it. And there was a lot of people obviously local to me that knew I was doing this run. So it was quite cool to just be on one of the loops and to see someone that I know and they like cheer me on or whatever. So that was
Ah,
really good.
nice, nice,
Um,
man.
yeah, because a lot of times in the other ultras, you may be out for like hours without seeing anyone, just in the middle of nowhere. And obviously the scenery is a lot better, but no, it definitely worked better doing it at home. And I had my own like aid station at home, would you could say. So it
Yeah.
was just yeah, a lot better in that sense. And my sister ran the night with me, so that was good.
Ah, with you the whole 100 miles.
No, no, no. So just the night she did. So
Ah, okay.
she joined me at mile 55-ish, I think, and she ran with me until about what was it? I think she ran about a marathon or something like that, like over the night, which was really helpful actually. It was good. It was good and
Nice.
bad. So she was obviously all chirpy, and that mile 60 to mile 80 was like the worst time, and I was hating
Oh.
every second of it. But it was good to have her there. I just probably wasn't the best company for her.
But you know, like what's also interesting, like what was the pace? What is the pace for, especially in the end? I mean, your legs are aching and stuff, you're tired. How much do you slow down then?
So my average pace for the whole thing,
Hmm.
including stops and stuff, so including the times that I was refueling, whatever, was I think 16-minute miles for it took me 28 hours in total,
Hmm.
with stops, 24 hours of running. Um, Basically I need to remember what I did. For the first 50 something miles, I would run. Oh, I need to remember now. I think I ran for 10 minutes and walked for two. That split. I'm trying to think. Or maybe I ran for, no, I might have ran for a mile and then walked for two, potentially. Walked for 2 minutes, that is. I actually can't remember, but I basically did a running walking split, whatever it was. Either run for 10 minutes, walk for 2 minutes, or run for a mile and walk for 2 minutes, something like along those lines. That was like it helped so much, because the previous ultra I'd done, which was 52 miles, there was a lot of flat for the first half. So
Hmm.
I basically just ran way too much. I didn't do any kind of or much walking split or anything, and it meant that I slowed down a lot towards the end. Whereas this, I just wanted to complete the 100 miles, so I did that running walking split for the start. For most of the night, I actually just speed walked, because my aim was just to get through the night. It was the hardest part by far. And right at the start of the night, it absolutely hammered down with rain. So I was freezing cold as well for
Oh
pretty much
man.
the whole night, which didn't really help. So yeah, I walked for a lot of the night, and that actually meant that when the sun came up, coming up was a massive boost. I also changed my clothes. So I was in like warmer clothes. So actually the final few miles, like on the next day, were really good. And I did, um again, because I was doing this lap, I was able to do a lap with my parents as well, which was really cool. I did one lap with my wife as well, which was amazing. So the next day, the following day, was actually relatively okay considering I'd ran like 80 odd miles. And then yeah, the final, whatever it was, like 10 miles or so, it was kind of just the home stretch. Like it was well within reach. So I felt really good. Like the sun coming up, I changed my clothes, I'd
Ah,
done a few
nice.
laps with my family, like everything was really good, to be fair. Um, so yeah, it was actually, I was surprised at how good I felt at the end, and how like my pace at the end was still relatively fast, if not faster than what I was doing with the running walking split, because I wasn't really doing much walking either, to be fair. So yeah, it was good. I think I definitely could have done it faster, but it was more, I just wanted to finish the 100 miles basically. I just wanted to.
Oh man. No, that's a great achievement, man. Like congrats again. Like
Thank you.
this is the real shit, man. No, honestly, like 100 miles, I can't even imagine it. So I'm just thinking about running my first half marathon.
Nice.
So I'm far from this, but I'm trying to currently increase my VO2 max a bit. So that's the plan for now. But also with you said at the end you felt very good. You felt very good. Is this kind of a runner's high? Like, do
Oh,
you get a
yeah.
dopamine hit from that?
So it was definitely like the adrenaline of like finishing definitely
Yeah.
made me feel a lot better than I it would. Um, Obviously, I've before this I don't know, about six other ultras, I think. So I've uh, made a lot of mistakes and learned a lot about fueling and
Mhm.
hydration, that kind of thing. And for this 100 mile, it was like I was very lucky in that I didn't experience any like blisters or bad blisters. like anything that was like unmanageable. I didn't experience any like severe pain in like aside from like the general kind of obviously after running that much you're gonna hurt. But there was nothing, there was no like race ending injuries or anything like that, which I was very lucky, very lucky for. So yeah, it was partly that I've learned a lot and like there was no kind of uh fueling issues or hydration issues or anything like that. So it came, and then obviously coupled with the adrenaline of actually finishing this was really good. And the same with recovery. I've like learned a lot of lessons before. I've finished ultras before and just not stretched, laid down, like not done anything. And like there's been ultras that I've done in like Wales, and then I've driven back in the car for an hour and a half after. Um, and I've learned a lot of lessons about recovery. So this time I took it seriously and I was actually feeling relative. So I finished on the Sunday and I was feeling relatively okay by the Monday evening, Tuesday, just because I'd like made sure I moved a lot, obviously stretching, and I had a massage on the Tuesday, like all these things, bathing in like Epsom salts and that. So I'm very shocked at how good I felt after it, considering like aside from what you'd almost expect in terms of like muscle soreness.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was no like skeletal issues or anything like that, which was really like good, basically.
Yeah, and if so since I'm a beginner, what would you recommend for someone? I'm not going for the 100 miles, man, but I'm going for maybe a half marathon. And what would you recommend? How many times running a week, and with which distances would you start? I mean, you cannot run a half marathon or a marathon every week, especially if you're a beginner. I'm not sure if you did for the ultra, but yeah, it's also about timing, right? Because it takes some time to do such long runs.
Yeah, that's it. And you never, so if you're, say you're aiming for like a half marathon,
Mhm.
you never want to actually run that distance in your training. You want to
Okay.
save that for race day, and maybe run for like a half marathon, a maximum of, I don't know, like 9, 10 miles or something in your training as your long run. But as a general basis, you just want to have one long run a week. So tends to be a weekend. Mine have been Sundays or Saturdays. This is the key thing about these long runs and any easy runs is to run slow. Like cannot emphasize that enough. It's like the biggest like epiphany that I had with running, that you didn't have to run fast, you didn't have to feel out of breath, and that makes it enjoyable as well. That's how you can start enjoying running, because I think the biggest problem people have with running and why a lot of people hate running is because when they go out, they absolutely blast it as fast as they can, or just like a fast-ish pace, which basically doesn't really it makes you hate running to start with, and it's actually not that beneficial because a lot of times you either want to be running like really fast, so having your heart rate at like 90% of your max with doing like intervals and stuff, or you want
Mhm.
to be running with your heart rate at like much lower, so like 140, 150 beats per minute, something around there probably for you. Um, yeah, like slower runs essentially. So yeah, this long run needs to be slow. You need to be able to just talk freely during this run. That's like a good way to gauge it.
Okay.
And then throughout the week, essentially, you can, depending on how much you want to run, whether it's 3 or 4 times a week, you want one like fast run or speed run, which could be like intervals, like minute on, minute
Yeah.
off, or
That's what I
who,
do actually at the moment to improve VO2 max. And but for,
yes,
yeah, I need to do I need to implement the long runs too. So I just need to find a day. But basically now I'm doing at least 2 interval runs a week. And yeah, maybe a long run, but I don't think I can afford more time, you know? Like that's my problem at the moment.
yeah.
So
So I'd say if you're wanting to run like say 3 times a week, then the long run is probably the most important one. If
Yeah.
you were to get rid of everything else, just keep that long run, and aim to like build up to what you would be doing on like race days. So in terms of like hydration or anything like that. And just try and increase a very basic level, just try and increase that distance that you're doing by about 10% each week. So start off on, I don't know, a certain amount, and yeah, increase by 10% each week. If you're doing 2 other runs, you probably only need one kind of hard run workout, and then the other one can be you can either do a like tempo run, so like slightly faster than your like easy run, or just another easy run but slightly shorter. So you could do like a 5K or something for half marathon training, or like 10K or something like that. Is probably the best. But yeah, the main one is that long run that you want to be doing, really, I'd say personally.
Nice. Yeah, let's see how long it takes for me to increase my performance in running. Like,
Mm.
what's your metric in what's your number in VO2 max? Do you have a measurement for
I
that at the moment?
actually don't know. I'm
Huh?
I'm terrible with tracking all that. Uh, I go by in a lot of the stuff. I just kind of go by how I feel in terms of the running. Obviously, because I've ran quite a lot before, I know how I feel at certain paces, and I know how like certain heart rates and like how that feels and how I should feel. So like going into this training block almost, I was like really out of shape in terms of like how I have been before. So like I wasn't like out of shape as such, but in terms of how I have been going into other training blocks, I was, and I really noticed that because I felt like I was working, well, I felt like I was working hard, and then I'd look at the pace and it was a lot less than what I
Yeah.
have been doing before. So that was quite hard going into it, because I was like then doubting myself whether I've taken on more than I can handle, and coupling that with like the massive lack of sleep that I was getting, it was like it was hard. um, but yeah, in terms of tracking all that kind of stuff, I probably should. I don't know. It would give me another metric to measure, but I don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah, it's but I think it's definitely higher than mine. So yeah, I'm at 48, I think, at the moment. I'm not sure if that's a good number, but it's not too bad, I think. But yeah,
Mm.
let's see how this will improve. So I like tracking.
Yeah, yeah. That, and in
Yeah.
terms of just being able to complete the half marathon, or if there's any kind of goal that you're going to, I'd just say you're a lot further forward towards it than it seems. And I think training for and completing any kind of distance is a lot easier than it seems. And the way I like to look at it with any distance that I've done, that like every time, all throughout my running, like what would you ever you would call it, like my running training or whatever it is, I've basically booked onto a race that is slightly harder than what I think I can actually achieve in that time frame, and it's always been slightly out of my distance. So this is how I first created the running habit. Was I'd wanted to form a running habit for a long time, and it never stuck, anything like that. But I essentially booked onto this 16-mile race. It was in 3 months' time, and it was to the highest point in my county and back down again. And at the time, it seemed like way out of reach for me, because I hadn't run more than like I think 3 miles or something like that at this point. And then in 3 months' time, I had to do this 16-mile race. Obviously stuck to the running habit, because either I reach this race and I drop out and it like I am embarrassed by doing that, or I start the race and I'm way not fit enough to be doing it. So yeah, I trained for, stuck to the running habit, completed this race, and I've just done that the whole way through. So that after that, I booked on to I think after that was actually my first ultra marathon, because I ran a marathon and then an ultra in like just on normal runs, and then I thought I'm going to book on to an ultra, and this ultra had a lot of elevation. Again, I was massive self-doubt before it, that kind of stuff. Again, trained for it, completed it, and it's been like that the whole way through, right up until this 100 miles. Again, I booked onto it with like 6 months to train for it. I really didn't feel in a good place to do it, that kind of thing. But yeah, before each of the races, I basically just think to myself, if someone had a gun to my head or my wife's head and they said,
Oh
run
man.
100 miles or I'll shoot you or I'll shoot your wife, would I be able to do it? Like 1,000,000%. I would run, walk, crawl, whatever it took to complete that 100 miles, whether it took me
Yeah,
24 hours or 48.
I mean, the goal is to complete it. And I think that's also a misconception because many people might think you need to run, right? You can also walk for some time. If you're done,
Yeah,
walk,
that's the
recover,
amazing thing
and start
about,
running again,
yeah,
you know?
ultras. That was a big
Yeah.
realization with ultras as well, is that like a lot of it is walking, especially in the higher distances. Like even with the pros, like you take pro ultra runners, like they're not running the full 100 miles by any stretch.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
like I don't know, 60-40 split or whatever it is. And every ultra I do, I walk the hills, run the flats and downs. And yeah, that's why I think a lot of times people hear about ultra marathons and running 40, 50 miles, and it does seem like an like ridiculous distance, and like, oh, I could never do that. But it's a lot more within someone's reach than they think. Because yeah, a lot of people think about just running full pelt for 50 miles, and it's really not that. You get to eat a ton, you get to walk during it.
Of course.
Especially, yeah, if time is not your, like, you don't care about how long it takes to complete it, then it's like I fully recommend to anyone to set the goal of completing an ultra marathon, because it's,
Yep. Yes,
yeah.
Sam. But then I should not go for the half marathon. I should go for a full man.
You should
Right?
honestly do the half and then book onto a marathon the next month, next 2 months. If you can
Yeah.
run a half, you can run a marathon, 100%.
Yeah, of course. No, we will see. We will see. I will definitely keep you updated. Yeah,
100%.
man. Thanks a lot for sharing the story, man.
No
I
worries.
think
Thanks for having me.
I think we will have more recordings now again since we talked before, and get some topics out there that might be very interesting for other people too. And
Definitely.
yeah, let's see what the first focus topic is. Really
Yeah,
looking
sounds
forward
good.
to it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Cheers.
have a nice weekend, man, and yeah, see you soon, man.
Thank you. Take it easy.
Bye.